Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a horror film, Dark Flight 407. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie starts with a young aspiring pilot named Gift. She's devastated because her parents want her to study abroad, but she wants to study aviation to become an airline pilot. Gift is on the way to the airport with her parents to celebrate her birthday out of town. Gift has a kind and loving father. However, her mother is a career woman who's more focused on business than her family. A talkative flight attendant nicknamed Big Mouth nags a junior flight attendant who arrived late. Afterward, a senior flight attendant, short-named Senior, arrives at the scene. This is Senior's first flight after her long leave from work. Before the flight, she consulted a doctor to check if she's fit to work. The doctor told her that she's still capable of working, and the hallucinations that she experienced in the past might be because of the lack of oxygen, caused by the drastic change of air pressure in the plane. A mechanic staff is checking the engine of the airplane before it takes off. Suddenly, he stops as he sees Senior, who's staring blankly at the airplane. Senior is stunned because the airplane looks familiar to her. The passengers are in the lounge waiting for the plane to board. A beautiful young lady named Short-Hair Girl is scared because a bald man approaches her. Luckily, a hairy young guy named Pigtail Boy helps send Mr. Baldy away. Pigtail Boy seems to have a crush on Short-Hair Girl, possibly wanting to crush his hormones on her. Finally, the passengers have already boarded the plane. Gift is playing a game on her tablet when her mother suddenly nags them. She can't take it any longer, so she moves to another seat. Ghosts start to show up in the airplane. The mechanic hears strange sounds coming from the airplane's cargo hold, so he immediately checks it. A ghost walks behind him and locks him inside. In the plane, a child throws a ball at Gift. She thinks that the child is playing with her, so instead of throwing the ball back, she puts the ball beside her to tease the child. Senior escorts the monk on his seat, then entertains Grandma, who looks scared. The grandma has fear of flying and heart disease, so Senior tells the other flight attendants to keep an eye on her. Gift notices that the ball beside her is missing. She looks for it, but can't find it anywhere. The flight attendant's performance finally starts. They dance while demonstrating the safety precautions in the plane that really entertain the passengers. After the performance, the plane finally takes off. Little did they know, the mechanic is still inside the cargo hold. Later on, Senior helps the flight attendant in opening a cabinet. She then remembers the airplane she last boarded, because it also has a broken cabinet. A ghost appears behind her, but disappears in a blink of an eye. The flight attendants worry about Senior's condition, so they tell her to take a rest for a while. As Senior approaches Grandma, Gift and the monks see that footsteps are following her, which scare them a lot. Gift asks the monk if he also sees the footsteps, but he denies it. Pigtail Boy and Short-Hair Girl start to get to know each other. Afterwards, Pigtail Boy goes to the comfort room to wash his face. While his eyes are closed, bloody hands appear behind him and scratch his face, but his pigtail gets spared. While the airplane is experiencing turbulence, Mr. Baldy suddenly stands up and says that he can't breathe. The flight attendants try to calm him, but he suddenly screams and turns his bald head around as if he's being possessed by a ghost. He then loses consciousness. Senior orders Big Mouth to assist Mr. Baldy. She also orders the other flight attendants to inform the passengers that everything is under control to ease their fear. When Pigtail Boy comes back to his seat, Short-Hair Girl notices the scratch on his face, so he immediately asks the flight attendant for a first aid kit. However, the flight attendant says that his face looks perfectly fine, which surprises them because the scratch disappears. Later on, the mechanic sees a lot of ghosts, which terrifies him a lot. The pilot notices that there's a pressure control warning in the cargo hold, so the co-pilot immediately checks it. Luckily, he sees the mechanic. He then escorts him to the airplane's kitchen and asks Senior to treat his wounds as he heads back to the cargo hold. The co-pilot steps on mud, so he turns on the light to check it. He then screams as ghosts appear in front of him. While Senior and Big Mouth are curing the mechanic's wounds, Pigtail Boy arrives and asks for bubble gum to cure his earache. Senior tells him that they'll just bring it to his seat. Pigtail Boy is confused as to why the mechanic is wounded, so Big Mouth thinks of an alibi to ease his confusion. Big Mouth announces that the mechanic hid in the cargo hold to propose to Senior, but he was injured due to the sudden turbulence. Senior and the mechanic don't have any choice but to pretend lovers to ease the passengers' confusion. Senior goes back to the kitchen and sees the co-pilot, who looks puzzled. He keeps on saying that he needs to talk to the captain as he goes to the cockpit. However, Senior is frightened as she sees that the co-pilot suddenly disappears. A while later, the airplane becomes old and rusty. A flight attendant suddenly loses consciousness, while some passengers seem to be possessed. The mechanic orders Senior to get an oxygen tank because the plane is running low on oxygen. Unbeknownst to them, a ghost is covering the pilot's eyes as he flies the airplane. Afterward, Gift screams as the ghost child throws a severed head to her. Before the mechanic loses consciousness, he pushes the button that releases the oxygen mask. Senior sees a ghost flight attendant offering drinks to the passengers. Thereafter, she asks Big Mouth to move the other passengers in the business class, as she helps the unconscious the mechanic. Big Mouth cries desperately because the two flight attendants are already dead. Senior then calms the grandma, who's already saying her last words. Gift's mother angrily shouts at Senior while Gift screams because she can't believe that there are ghosts in the plane. The mechanic asks everyone to calm down and explains that there are no ghosts and they're just hallucinating due to the low supply of oxygen caused by the plane's sudden descent. The mechanic asks Senior the cockpit's password. However, it isn't working and the pilot doesn't answer the call. So the mechanic decides to go to the cargo hold to fix the air pressure before it's too late. Gift's mother opposes and suggests that they should land the airplane first. Gift is already fed up with her mother's nagging, so she asks her to just shut her big mouth because their oxygen masks will run out of air within 15 minutes. Meanwhile, Gift's mother continuously nags the passengers, which disappoints Gift. Gift's father approaches her and asks for understanding because her mother is just stressed out. Out of disappointment, Gift drinks alcohol and even asks Big Mouth to join her with her big mouth. Finally, the mechanic and Senior go down to fix the air pressure, but they're surprised to see that the cargo hold looks old and rusty. They need to be in a hurry because their tank is about to run out of oxygen at any moment. Gift asks her father why he gave her a toy airplane when she was young. Her father answers that it's because he wanted Gift to overcome her fear of flying. Gift then blames him for being weak. That's why their family doesn't get along well. She then informs her dad that she really wants to study aviation. Gift's mother suddenly yells at her, but her father bravely orders her to stop, or else he'll throw her outside with the corpse. Since it's Senior's birthday, her father sings a happy birthday song while they're crying and hugging each other. Unexpectedly, a ghost joins them in singing. Then an old cart with candles appears from behind. Pigtail Boy asks the monk to close the curtain, but he refuses, so Pigtail Boy just volunteers to do it. He kisses Short-Hair Girl first, then pushes the cart away. Suddenly, the ghost possesses Short-Hair Girl. The possessed Short-Hair Girl then blames Senior for their death because she left them. Short-Hair Girl then loses consciousness. Back in the cargo hold, before Senior loses consciousness, she sees ghosts around the mechanic. Unfortunately, Grandma dies, and the passengers lose consciousness because their masks run out of oxygen. Before Gift's mother passes out, she sees the ghost in the airplane. Luckily, the passengers regain consciousness, where the mechanic fixes the air pressure that normalizes the oxygen in the airplane. Out of fear, Short-Hair Girl hugs Pigtail Boy, but he immediately removes it because he's not sure if Short-Hair Girl isn't possessed anymore. Gift's mother angrily asks Senior what she had done that made the ghost furious. The passengers blame Senior for what's happening, so they order her to stay away from them. The mechanic can't stop them, so he just accompanies Senior. As they go to the other side of the airplane, Senior and the mechanic wonder why the corpses disappeared. They suddenly hear a loud bang and the screams of ghosts, so they go back to the other side where the passengers are. Suddenly, the power goes out as they hear the scary laugh of the ghosts. They pray fervently as per the monk's advice, and the noise miraculously stops. It's then revealed that the airplane 407 they are in now is the same airplane that Senior last boarded. 10 years ago, an unexplainable incident happened where the passengers went mad, causing the death of everyone on board, except for Senior. Senior was traumatized at that time, so she took the long leave from work and even consulted a doctor to make sure she's fit to work in flight again. Thereafter, the ghost flight attendants appear, so they all run and hide. Unfortunately, Short-Hair Girl stumbles, so she asks for Pigtail Boy's help. Pigtail Boy hugs Short-Hair Girl, who's suddenly possessed by a ghost. To survive, Pigtail Boy kills the possessed Short-Hair Girl. He then forcibly opens the comfort room's door, where a foreign couple is hiding. The foreign woman sees a ghost in the mirror. In extreme fear, she leans against the wall, causing the door to open. When the door opens, Pigtail Boy accidentally hits the foreign man, causing his death. Pigtail Boy immediately helps the foreign woman who's drowning in the sink. Luckily, they're able to go to the kitchen, where the others are hiding. Gift's mother notices that her daughter is sitting quietly on the floor, so she grabbed her arm, only to find out that it's just a ghost. Everyone closes their eyes and prays until the ghost disappears. Then Gift's father and some others decide to go to the cargo hold to look for Gift. The ghosts keep on distracting the group as they look for Gift. The mechanic then asks Senior how she miraculously survived 10 years ago. She answers that she just closed her eyes until the plane landed. Meanwhile, the mother hears her daughter scream, so she bravely goes out with the monk to look for her. When they pass by the grandma's corpse, it suddenly comes to life and strangles the mother. As revenge, the mother hits grandma's head with the cart, causing it to be crushed. Terrified of the ghosts, the virgin monk hides under the seat. The ghost deceives Gip's mother, so she kills the monk and the foreign woman. Luckily, Big Mouth escapes with her mouth undamaged. The ghost flight attendants show up. The mechanic asks them to close their eyes, just like what Senior did to survive. Pigtail Boy thinks that the ghost already left, so he opens his eyes. But the ghost deceives Pigtail Boy, causing him to accidentally kill Big Mouth. Senior says that Pigtail Boy is innocent because the same scenario happened to them in the past. The ghosts deceive the people into killing each other. The group bravely go back to the cabin and ignore the ghosts. However, Gip's mother has gone mad and kills Pigtail Boy, ending his pigtail life. Luckily, Gip's father, the mechanic, and Senior are able to escape. The father promises that if he becomes a ghost, he'll definitely punish the bad ghosts, which makes everyone laugh. They notice that the ghosts disappear as they laugh, so they keep laughing until the ghosts vanish. The group go back to the cabin and find Gift. The mother tries to hurt them, so they tie her up. The mechanic makes a hole in the cockpit's door, but it's too small and only Gift can fit through. At first, Gift is hesitant, but because of her father's encouragement, she's able to open the cockpit's door. However, they find out that the pilot is already dead. Gift's mother appears suddenly and is about to stab them with an axe. Fortunately, the father stops her by stabbing her shoulder with a fork. The airplane plunges down, causing the cart with sharp utensils to roll. Unfortunately, the sharp utensils pierce into the chest of the mother, ending her nagging life. Afterward, the ghost flight attendants appear again and scare Senior. It's then revealed that the ghosts want to take revenge on Senior. In the past, Senior forcefully closed the door for her own safety, which crushed the head of her fellow attendant. Later, Gip's mother, who is now possessed by ghosts, strangles Senior. Then a cart rolls towards them. In order to survive, Gip bravely flies the airplane. But it doesn't work, so they just close their eyes. As they close their eyes, they see that on the same flight, Mr. Baldy was mysteriously found dead in the cargo hold, while a child died due to some unknown reason, and their souls haunt the airplane. The mechanic calls his friend and asks him to look for a pilot that will guide him in flying airplane 407. At first, he finds a pilot that speaks slowly, but when he realizes that it's an emergency situation, he passes the phone to another pilot that helps the mechanic maneuver the plane. However, they can't land on the ground because the ghosts prevent the airplane's wheel from working. But because of the mechanic's determination, he's able to land the plane safely. Finally, the mechanic, Gift, and her father get off the plane. A while later, they notice that Senior isn't with them. It's then revealed that Senior died when the Gip's mother strangled her. The movie ends with the ghost of Senior sitting inside the newly repainted airplane 407. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.